Reet, I've had me cup of tea, I've had me protein pancakes, I'm ready to get stuck in to this little Buongiorno everyone, welcome back to the channel, unless you're Alexander Isak, yeah, and he has been replaced, thankfully. There he is, Boxport Wembley, where he told me he wasn't going to leave, and he was in that photo frame. Well, he's out now, and my Brazilian boys have replaced him. So Bruno and Joelinton are in there, proper servants to the club, unlike this Swedish sausage. So, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse on Alexander, it does. He makes things worse for himself once again. Or is it mainly his agent? Either way, it's getting horrific. It's getting shocking. Like I say, we thought we'd seen it all. And yet, we haven't. It gets worse as the days go by, because Isak and his agent are crapping themselves as the day goes by at the thought of having to stay at St James's Park and face the music. But we'll get into that in a minute. Getting railed up. What a way to start your Tuesday. But you know, I woke up and I seen this news and I'm like, never mind. We'll wait for it. We're going to talk about it, what the Athletic have reported and stated from David Ornstein this morning. So, as we know, Isak is training on his own at the minute in Newcastle, amid trying to push that move to Liverpool. There's plenty of videos on the channel where you should look at those. The anticipation is that Isak will miss the trip to Villa Park this Saturday, with his future in uncertainty. Based on conversations with sources privy to the matter, The Athletic understands Isak is adamant he will never represent Newcastle again. So he's adamant he will never represent Newcastle ever again. Even if Newcastle refuse to sell the 25-year-old Swedish striker, and he remains on Tyneside when the window closes, Isak regards his career at St James's Park as finished and has no desire to reintegrate into the squad. My God. Let's just dissect those couple of lines first of all then, alright? Saying he's adamant he'll never represent Newcastle again. Well, you shouldn't be adamant, because at the minute, we're paying you nearly 150 grand a week to represent Newcastle. So you should book your ideas up and start getting on with your job. Never mind, I'm adamant, I'm not playing again. No, I'm not playing again, doesn't matter. Even if I don't go to Liverpool, I'm not doing it. My career at Newcastle is finished, and I've got no desire to reintegrate into the squad. That is an absolute disgrace, that, by the way. No desire to reintegrate into the squad. Tough, mate. Absolutely tough. Because this is your job, this is the club that is paying your wages. So don't care if you've got no intention to reintegrate in the squad or not, you're going to have to. Or, I tell you what, fair enough. How about you do just rot in the reserves then? How about you do just rot at the little training ground, yeah? This isn't San Sebastian, this isn't Sociedad, it's not in the sunshine, this will be Benton in winter, freezing. And you're not even in the new redeveloped training ground, the new Miller and Quarter, you're in the old one, the one that's shut down with the kids, with the 15-year-olds. How about that? How about you stay over there and rot over there then, if you don't want to play for this club ever again and he refuses to reintegrate with the squad? It should be sheer punishment at this stage. I couldn't believe it when I was in Eddie Howe's press conference the other day and he said there has been no punishment yet. Why not? Taking off on holiday to Spain, refusing to train or play. Absolute abysmal behaviour from Alexander Isak. It really is, man. And those lines there to say he's never going to play for the club again, even if he doesn't get a move to Liverpool this summer. Wow, I mean, that is next level stuff, like, considering he does have 3 years left on his deal. But it's a World Cup year, so, you know, if you want to just rot in the reserves and not play and just sit and sulk and lose your fitness and everything, then fine, let's do that then. Let's make a stance on this now. I've always been saying, get him out, get rid, sell him, don't want him here, he doesn't want to be here. But when he's coming out with this arrogance and this adamance that he's not going to play for the club again, even if he doesn't go to Liverpool, so he's going to continue to refuse to play. No excuses for that. Nah. Even more respect lost. And I didn't think I could even get to that point. But it really has. So for me, I see a lot using the comments saying this. I'm starting to say now it is. Our owners, PIF, take a stance on this bloke. Set the precedent. Because if he gets away with this, how does it look if Tonali wants to move? If Real Madrid come in for Tonali and we're like, nah, he can't go this summer. He's going to do the exact same thing because he knows his mate Alex got his way a year previously, or whatever, hypothetical situations. Sandro would have gone anywhere, don't go anywhere. But realistically, this is kind of what will then lead other players on to make their decisions, knowing that this behaviour gets them to what they want. Nah, can't be having it. So let's take a stance. Let's show them who's boss. Let's be like, right, if you didn't want to play, the window's closed now and you still don't want to play, see you later then. see you later. Get on the reserves, and I'll tell you what, it's not just this year. We're not going to sell you next year either. You still got 2 years left. Next summer. So, unlucky sunshine. That's it. Refusing to reintegrate into the squad. Really, even with the window closes. This is all from the Athletic, what I'm reading here. Isak's perspective is that after being informed last summer that a new contract would not yet be offered to him because of Newcastle's need to comply with FFP, he was already having a lucrative deal until 2028, was the viewpoint of Mitchell, our director at the time. He made it clear it would be his last campaign with the club. So according to Athletic, last summer, Isak told us that he wanted to leave the following season, now. So he's saying because he didn't get a new deal last summer, right, well, I'll do this year, and then next summer I want to leave. Some at Newcastle have denied that this was expressed and believe the forward plan to discuss the situation, including the possibility of fresh terms once this 25 season had concluded. So there we go. Different reports there, because I see a lot of Liverpool fans trying to tell me, Isak told you to leave. It's not happening late on in the window. It's your fault for not getting it sorted. You should have got your ducks in order. You should have got your replacement lined up. And other people are saying, nah, that's not the case. We said that we're going to discuss new contract terms with him, which is what Darren Eales has said. Continue to see that. We're going to reach out to Isak and offer him a newer salary, a newer contract. So different reports there. I mean, if it is the case that he was told last summer that it wasn't going to get a new deal, which we know, but if he had been told by the club and then he told the club in return that he wanted to leave in the 25 summer, then this is an issue for us. In terms of it, we have to take some responsibility, because if he did tell us that, then we should have had Ekitike through the door early, his replacement, Šeško, whatever, before that teams could get whiff of it and get on it, and then allow Isak to leave once that was done. That should have been the case. I find that hard to believe. I really do, because why? There's no sense to why the club wouldn't have done that, why they would drag that out, why they would wait until a few weeks ago to try and get Ekitike and then maybe allow Isak to leave, why they would wait so long to get Šeško. Surely, I know a lot of the things behind the scenes have been a mess and have took way too long. Obviously, they tried to get the lap at the start of the window. Was that maybe Isak's replacement? Eddie Howe sat down with the Ipswich striker at the time. He was very impressed by him, but he then chose more money at Chelsea. So maybe there's a bit of truth in both of this. I think, I don't know what to make of it really. Like, what do you think in the comments? But for me, I think they still thought there was a chance of Isak staying and signing a new deal. Once there was solid interest from Liverpool, then I think his head was massively turned by his dodgy agent that we will actually get into in a minute. But conflict reports there, whether or not Isak told him he would leave this summer and he would be his last season at the club, that's just gone. Last campaign, Isak helped us win the Carabao Cup and qualify the Champions League, we know all that. 2 weeks before the season ended, he told Howe of his wish to leave. I'm just reading this is what I mean, this is my live, so my thoughts I've just given there. I'm just reading it live. I've read the bullet points, but we're reading the full article here from The Athletic, and it's behind the paywall, so it's good for you lot who don't want to buy it, don't want to read it. But yeah, next bit of this is saying that 2 weeks before the season ended, he told Howe he wished to leave and reiterated this on a call to the manager before flying to Sweden after the club's final defeat by Everton. Big claim that from The Athletic. So it looks like he did, according to these, tell them then. So again, that's poor from everyone then. It's poor and upsetting from him, but if he said that to them, then he's told the club before the window opens that he wants to leave. So Newcastle have to take a lot of blame for this, to be fair. Like, this is a rant on Isak, but now we're hearing this information. It's still privy and important that we do say, well, Newcastle should have had the shit in order then. They should have had the player replaced in order, ready to go. So Isak could leave and then get a big chunk of money for him and not be having all this drama a few days before the season starts. We're in the middle of August now. This could have been sorted in the middle of June. So that's bad from everyone included there. As we know, Liverpool have made that 110 million bid, which was just a disgrace in itself, an absolute low ball offer. Newcastle's stance may soften if a proposal closer to 150 arrives and they can fill Isak's void through the market. The Premier League champions' interest remains firm and Isak is focused on a move to Anfield. So a lot going on there, a lot to pick apart. Isak isn't for sale. Newcastle have said that, unless, again, as it's mentioned there, a bid of around 150 comes in. Now, I think this can and will get done around 130, maybe rising to 140 in add-ons. I can see that happening. I can. But Newcastle are really having trouble replacing Isak here. Do they go and spend the 80 million on Samuel that Porto want? No, you can't do that. He's had one debut season. As much as I love him, and I would absolutely love to see him in the black and white shirt, I can't justify 80 million. The crazy money that's going around. We missed out on Šeško, missed out on a few others early in the window, like we mentioned, your Pedros, your Delaps, your Ekitikes, and all the rest of it. So now they're looking around, there's like, well, where do we go now? Do we go for a Watkins in the Prem? Do we go for a Strand Larson? Big risk. That's a big gamble on an Isak replacement. Do we go for someone overseas? It's like, I think the club are looking now and thinking, you know what it is, what kind of date? Well, there's only a couple of weeks left of the window. I think they'd really like Isak just to stay, even until January at this point, and be like, yeah, we'll try and get a replacement again in January. Ideally, obviously next summer when there's more time. But at the minute, Isak's stance not changing. Isak wants to move. Newcastle can't get his replacement, and Liverpool haven't actually bid close to what they wanted. So everyone's waiting. And the thing is with this, right, and this coming out here is all down to Isak absolutely crapping himself, as I mentioned earlier on. He's now thinking, his agent's there thinking, bloody hell, we're on August the 12th now and there's still no official bidding close to what Newcastle want from Liverpool. The season's starting this weekend. He would have been hoping that he was playing in the Community Shield. Isak's agent, you know, he's been going to watch these games. Pathetic, that bloke, absolutely pathetic. So he's thinking that, I want him in a Liverpool shirt now. It's the window's closing in a couple of weeks. It's panic stations for them. That's why they're putting these things out. They're worried, they're panicked, they want to push this forward closer and closer every day, quicker and quicker. They want this resolution. Trust us, we do too, but it's not happening because of the reasons I've just stated. So Isak's now thinking, fuck, imagine if I have to stay at St. James. I can't. After all this, I can't. After going to Spain, after you know, the way I've treated the club, the fans, gone from hero to zero, his behaviour, shocking, training on my own. There's no way back. I can't do it. How am I going to play in front of the St. James Park crowd? How is he going to get motivated again to play for us since he apparently is adamant he will not be representing the club again? They're worried now. They're panicking and they're trying to push this over the line. But we are where we are still. And, you know, the closer it gets, it's not hard to work it out. The closer it gets to the window closing in a couple of weeks' time, the closer we are to Isak staying, which does seem untenable. He obviously doesn't want it, but it's where we are at the minute, like. So for him to come out and say all these things is just so disrespectful to the club, the fan base, and everyone included. When you are employed by us, you are getting paid loads of money, and you're saying you can't do it, I'm not going to do it. Shocking, man. So as I said, there was some stuff coming out about Isak's agent at the minute. We'll just briefly touch on this because there's some mad stuff coming out. They're calling it here Isak's scandalous agent, Vlado Lemic. This is from Corrupt EPL, Giniesta 10. He did have a lifelong ban from Ajax and PSV. He had leaked files that Roman Abramovich illegally sent hundreds of millions to Lemic via offshore companies in order to bring in Matic, Ivanovic and Robin to Chelsea. And there's loads more about him. Clubs in the past, Isak's former club AIK banned the agency. There was a client of his that got found guilty for match fixing, tried to bribe one of the keepers. Lemic's agency did have ties to gang criminals in Sweden, according to links. Wow, so there's loads going on there. That's a whole other video, that, like, but again, it's some kind of muddy waters that I don't necessarily want to get into, to be honest with you, but it doesn't sound great, does it? Isak's agent, who's the one behind really driving this forward. Yes, we've given Isak lots of stick, and yes, because he's his own man at the end of the day. He could say to his agent, nah, I'm not sorry, mate. I know we're trying to get a move, but there's ways to go about this. You know, I've got an affinity with this club. You know, I was classed as a legend because I scored in a final and won them a trophy. I was classed as a legend because I was the greatest striker to play for the club since Alan Shearer. I got the fan base. They did big tifo displays for us and everything. Nah, I'm not doing this. I'm not treating them like this. Sorry, I know we want to move to Liverpool, but I'm going to behave professionally and respectfully while I'm here. But he hasn't done that. So, how much control has this agent got over him then? Because, like I said, after meeting Isak and stuff, if there was a person, and loads of people have come up to us lately in the streets and stuff, shout them out, have said, like, yeah, I can't believe he said that here. And listen, neither can I. This bloke I met here at Wembley was absolutely sound and got the club. Totally understand the culture, the city, the fan base. On stage saying, Ari walk in. But even when you talk to him, after meeting him there, if there was one player that I was talking to, and I talked to every single one of them that night, he would be up there in the top 2 or 3 if players I would have thought would never ever have went on like this. Never ever. Not in a million years. Him saying to me, he's staying, yes, things can change, but it's the way he's went about it. It's the way he's went about it. I never thought he would go on like this. It's absolutely shocking, man. There was some other stuff I was going to talk about, but this video has been on for a while. Ramsey's linked again from Villa. That's something we talked about way back at one of the very first transfer windows at the start of the summer. The Athletic here are saying keep an eye on it. It's one to watch. Newcastle are trying to open negotiations for the 24-year-old who's in the final 24 months of his Villa contract. So his preferred destination is Newcastle United as well. This is off the back of us being linked with El Canus yesterday. So Newcastle are getting things going in terms of getting a midfielder through the door at St James's Park, but more on that in a bit. Thanks for watching, everyone. Subscribe to the Magpie Channel TV, give her a like, drop your thoughts below, and I'll see you on the next one.